With determination to reduce or possibly end mercury use among artisanal small-scale gold miners, the United States Department of State, in partnership with the Artisanal Gold Council, a Canadian-based NGO, is implementing a project dubbed Reducing Mercury Use and Release in Burkina Faso, Guinea and Ghana. In line with this, a 3-day regional workshop on reducing mercury use and release has been held in Ouagadougou-Burkina Faso from the 21st to 23rd February 2017. Participants from the 3 countries, including government regulatory officials, artisanal miners, civil society operatives, the U.S. State Department, the Artisanal Gold Council, and the media. The U.S. Ambassador to Burkina Faso, Andrew Young, who opened the workshop, emphasized the need for increased effort to reduce mercury use in artisanal mining and, however, highlighted the expectations of the project.
We are so happy to be joined together with our colleagues from Guinea, from Burkina Faso, and from Ghana to work together to address some of the challenges in the gold mining sector that specifically affect the orpailleurs. And together we're seeking to make ways to increase their yields while protecting the environment and getting mercury out of this process. This is actually an example of the long-standing commitment that the United States has to work with partners to address environmental challenges.
This was followed with presentation on the Minamata Convention on Mercury and National Action Plans, group work and discussions on mining supply chain, business models, mercury-free processing, as well as a country-by-country presentation on artisanal small-scale gold mining sector and the way forward.
The first thing I propose regarding the way forward is that Ghana should mainstream small-scale mining. At the moment, the policymakers have not mainstream small-scale mining. All the poverty alleviation strategies we talk about happen to be about farming, but nobody has come out of poverty from subsistence farming. The records are clear for everybody to see. So we are saying, let us mainstream small-scale mining and not talk about poverty alleviation, but rather talk about wealth creation, because small-scale mining is not about poverty alleviation, it's about wealth creation. So we realign it, put it in the center, and move it forward. In this direction, we talk about education. Not education just for them to know that this is bad, this is good, but technical education. For instance, at the moment, small-scale miners are blasting, but nobody has taught them blasting. UMAT has rolled out a course on blasting. We have linked up with the Minerals Commission, and we are saying that from now onwards, all the districts bring your people who blast informal to school. Let us teach them how to blast. Let us take them to the Minerals Commission. Let us certify them so that they can get their license to blast officially.
Dennison of the U.S. Department of State outlined the importance of respective countries to work on their national action plan on the Minamata Convention.
Specifically on the importance of the national action plans. And I know that the governments that are represented here already understand how important the national action plans are, and I just want to underline that. It's important for, I can think of 3 reasons. The first reason is obvious, right? It's important because it's required under the Minamata Convention. And Guinea has already ratified the convention. And I'm very much hoping that they will be followed soon with by Burkina Faso and also by Ghana. And so that being required will be very important for the governments to develop their national action plans. But secondly, I would also ask you to consider the importance in terms of the donor countries and agencies that would like to work with your governments. If the donor countries see that you have a national action plan that truly serves as a roadmap for how you are going to be dealing with your artisanal and small-scale gold mining, your national action plan can serve as a vehicle to explain your vision for the sector and also give the donor countries and agencies an opportunity to see where they can fit in best. Each agency has strengths, and so as they see what your plan is for your country, then they can figure out how best to work with your government.
The third and final day of the workshop was dedicated to a field trip which introduced participants to mercury-free processing technology.
So I'm Kevin Telmer, the Executive Director of the Artisanal Gold Council. We're a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated to improving the quality of life and the wealth and the environmental conditions and social conditions of artisanal miners around the world. Welcome to Burkina Faso and the Artisanal Gold Council's installation and demonstration site. This is an area where we call it a staging area, where we put equipment together, test it, and then we deploy it to individual artisanal mining sites. What you're looking at behind me is an intuitive system that's extremely intuitive to use for orpailleurs or artisanal miners. It's all visible, so it's composed of a crusher, a mill, some sluices, and a shaking table, a concentration system, and a direct smelting system. Everything that artisanal miners here are already familiar with, but we're just elevating the level that those things operate at and adding something that we call process control so they can increase their recovery of gold. They typically recover maybe 40% of the gold in their materials using traditional methods. So this eliminates the use of mercury and increases their recovery from about 40% to 70%. And it also provides the opportunity to sell the tailings, to collect and sell the waste to a professional secondary processor, so we can get the recovery of gold all the way up to about 95%. And our expectation is that with the support of all of our partners, which are the miners themselves, the Union of Miners, and the various government bodies, and of course the UN, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and the United States Department of State, that this system will be increasingly adopted by more and more artisanal mining sites. I'd like to call this our 2-kilogram model. 2 kilograms of gold is worth $80,000 US. The equipment itself is probably $30,000 of equipment, and the other $50,000 is the cost of doing the installation that we do together with the miners and the government. So we will install the system and run it for about 6 months together with a group of miners. And during that 6 months, we will produce perhaps 4 kilograms of gold, and 2 of those kilograms will go towards paying for the installation, and then the miners themselves can continue on with their higher recovery and their improved environmental and sort of social system from there on out. So it's actually already possible to self-finance the system.
The General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Godwin Amarh, speaks on what this technology and its cost mean to artisanal small-scale gold miners.
I think once it's settling the dust and all that is something that we have to look at. But there are some challenges that we need to put in place, solve, so that the system will be more efficient in terms of the spillage and all that we saw. And the process is also a bit long. You know, the length of processing, you have so many processes, and you need highly skilled people to handle it. So those are some of the issues that we need to look at. Then we'll be able to move it forward. You are looking at $30,000. How many of the artisanal and small-scale miners can afford it? So then you need someone to partner. But I'm also happy that they said they have a high purchase facility available. Do you get it? So adapting it to the Ghanaian system, we need to go back, sit down, plan, and see if we'll be able to work with it.
The AGC, however, believes forming of cooperatives and governmental assistance can help.
This system's really designed to be operated by a small to medium enterprise or a cooperative. And so the cost is an issue, but part of our job is also to work on the markets and the finance side. So what we do is we work with financial institutions, investors, the private sector, and governments to obtain resources to invest in the sector. And there's a variety of business models to do that.
Solomon Kusi Ampofo of the Friends of the Nation, a Ghanaian civil society with interest in advancing beneficial and environmental-friendly artisanal small-scale gold mining, says it is a welcome news.
This process gives us hope that there still exists mercury-free technology, and as part of the development of the National Action Plan for the Minamata Convention, one of the key things that we are looking at is to have mercury-free technologies that is easily accessible and also cost-effective for miners to use to be able to reduce the amount of mercury used in artisanal and small-scale gold mining.
The United Nations Environment Programme 2013 Global Mercury Assessment indicates that artisanal small-scale gold mining was responsible for 37% of global mercury emissions in 2010. Hence, it is expected that adoption of this mercury-free gold processing technology can drastically reduce mercury emissions, which is dangerous to human life, and also improve the productivity of artisanal gold miners.